guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to a 2025 horror film review of Michael B. Jordan's film Sinners. Before we get on to the story, let's have a look and see if there's any special features on the disc. So guys, let me just lower this down. This is the screen for Sinners. Let's have a look at any special features it may have on the disc. Dancing with the Devil, The Making of Sinners, Blues in the Night, The Music of the Sinners, Thicker Than Blood, Becoming the Smokestack Twins, Spirit of the Deep South, Wages of Sin, The Creature Effects of Sinners, Deleted Scenes. So that is the special features on Sinners. So actually there's quite a few on there, which is a really rare sight for Warner Brothers. This is a Warner Brother release. So it is quite a rare sight to actually have special features on it, but there is a few. So let's crack on with the story. So this film is based in 1932 in Mississippi, America. So it's in the height of the sort of gangster period of America, where in other parts of America, Chicago, you will have your famous gangsters running the streets. But here in the Mississippi, we got two brothers running the show, the Smokestack Twins, both played by Michael B. Jordan. So he plays the two twins. One's called Smoke and one's called Stack. And it's about them and their young cousin called Sammy Moore, played by Miles Canton. He is a young blues upcoming artist. So before we get started, this film is a blues gangster horror movie, the first probably of its kind. But yeah, that's the sort of premise on the film. And these two brothers have brought an old kind of barn, and they're going to do it up into a sort of bar, like a club bar, where they're going to put on a load of blues music, which is really, really cool. And as the film sort of progresses down the story, we see they're sort of going into town and meeting all these sort of different characters in the town and trying to get them to help them open this store. We meet Bo Chow and Lisa Chow, both played by Yao, and Lisa Chow played by Helena Hugh. And they are a husband and wife that run like a local sort of store, and they're sort of supplying stuff for them for their new I don't know what to call it, bar, I suppose. Anyway, so they're going to be supplying the stuff for them. This sort of and we see them. Sammy asks them, "Well, where are you going to get all the booze?" So they've actually got all this smuggled Irish beer, and they show them this truck. And when they pull back the truck, there's a rattlesnake on there, and they kill it with this knife. Now, I thought this is I actually contacted the Humane Hollywood site about this to see if it was an actual snake being killed or animal cruelty, and they confirmed to me that it wasn't. It was a cut out scene. So they did have a real snake in there, but when it went to it being killed, it was obviously flashed down to like a fake snake. So that's good to hear, because I thought, we got a bit of animal cruelty coming back into cinema, but no, it wasn't. And we meet other sort of characters throughout the film. We meet Ruthie, played by Adrienne Ward Armand. We meet Remick, played by Jack O'Connell. We meet Beatrice, played by Tenja Jackson. And Ruthie and Beatrix are like the love interests of the two twins. And so we sort of see their kind of stories along the way. And we also meet some other sort of interesting characters. We meet the wonderful Cornbread, played by Omar Miller, who's really, really cool. I like his character. We meet Delta Slim, played by Delroy Lindo. He's like a sort of bluesy kind of harmonica pianist who they sort of attract to come and play in their bar with Jamie, with Sammy, Sammy, who's played by Miles Cowton. But later on in the film, he's played by the legendary blues guitarist Buddy Guy. And he's sort of like a guitarist and a singer, and they sort of like they all come to this bar, and the bar starts off wonderful, and it's a great bar with all these really cool sort of like scenes of like great blues music and sort of dance sequences, which are quite cool, and it's great seeing these people enjoying themselves. And while the bar is up and running and going at night time, we meet these three characters. Now, I'm not sure if we were actually given their names in the actual film, but they play kind of like the three sort of villains, if you like, in the film. I'm trying to see if I can see their names. I don't think we got them on here, but they are our villains, and they try to gate crash our party. And that's when things start to go wrong. So I won't tell you what happens there, but that's when all the sort of horror takes place. But the sort of, this film runs for 2 hours 20, so it's a long film. So be prepared. But it kind of needs it, because you need to find out the backstory of these two brothers. And like I said, they're both sort of gangsters, and they've got a reputation, and they're not afraid to shoot people. They've shot a few people in the film. They kill a few people in the film, just to get their way. And all these sort of weird and wonderful things happen. So we meet all these amazing sort of characters throughout the film. And it's so wonderfully shot, but they're just so, it's just such a wonderful sort of laid out, well paced film. Although it was 2 hours 20, it kind of didn't feel like it. But let's talk about the characters. Yeah, so Michael B. Jordan, who plays Smoke and Stack, he plays the role really well. They are proper sort of 1930s sort of black gangsters that you would have probably seen in that part of American country, because obviously we've gone past the point of sort of slavery. Obviously there's a major issue of the Klan and racism in that part of the country, or that, but that is touched upon slightly upon this film, with obviously the locals that they buy the barn off and stuff like this, because I think the guy they buy the barn off is a renowned sort of member of the Ku Klux Klan, and he says, "Oh, well, they're not going anymore." But that sort of comes to its storyline near the end of the film, and so there is a little bit of touches on there. And we're now three, I want to say, creatures turn up to the barn to get in. They're three sort of like white people, and then a little bit of it comes in there as well, a little bit of the sort of racial tension, not just from white people, but obviously the black people also. There was a racial tension from both sides. It was a very divided period in that sort of American history, and that does come across. But back to the characters, they're all really wonderful. I really loved Sammy Moore, although his voice was a bit like that, it's a bit annoying. But apart from his voice, he plays the role really well, and he's really convincing as this sort of almost like a Robert Johnson kind of looking like figure from that period. And obviously, I like the Cornbread, the doorman. He's really cool, and I really enjoyed Delta Slim. His character is fantastic. He had a real sort of old school sort of bluesy kind of Buddy Guy, John Lee Hooker sort of feel about the character. This film is steeped. So let's talk about the character there, the music. Now, the music is prominent in this film. It is very bluesy. There's got quite a bit of sort of like southern sort of delta music and sort of almost the sort of bluegrass sort of country feel in some of the tracks, especially from our three other guys. They tend to be playing a bit of the bluegrass sort of country. So it's got an amazing soundtrack, which I reckon would be an amazing CD to own. Now, there's two CDs you can buy from this film. You've got the score, or you've got the soundtrack. So the soundtrack's going to have all the blues tracks on it, and the score's going to have the background sort of music, the orchestral sort of music. So, but I haven't bought any of them because they're both quite pricey. They're both like £20. £20 for a CD? No, you're okay. But it's great that they've really made this heavily music based, especially around the blues, because I love blues music. And it's always a delight to see things like that. And because this is set well back in the time when the Delta blues music was really sort of prominent and really cool with people like Bessie Smith and Robert Johnson. It's that sort of period sort of music, and it's absolutely wonderful. So that is another amazing character. So let's get on to my final verdict. It's absolutely incredible. It's an amazing film, and I'm gonna score it 9 out of 10. It is a 10 out of 10 film, but I've dropped it a point, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But it's incredible. It's an amazing film. It's the first of its kind in a way. I can't remember any other sort of gangster horror movies, um, but this one plays out really cool. Um, yes, it is a vampire movie. There's no secret about it. So it's very closely like a resemblance of Dusk Till Dawn and John Carpenter's Vampires. There is elements of that within this sort of film, but this takes it down a gangster route and plays out like a whole story. It's really cool. I mean, the film starts off with we're in a church, and we see Sammy going in with a broken guitar. He's being attacked. He's got a big scar across his face, and the priest is trying to talk him down to dropping the guitar, sort of thing, because he has survived this night of this club. And so we get a flashback, and the rest of the film pretty much plays out from that night and the build up to that night and the goings on of that night. And it's really cool. It just plays out so well, and it's just so well paced. It's a cleverly made film. Really cool. I really enjoyed it. The pluses of the edition, that it's casted well. It looks stunning. The music is phenomenal. And some of the sequences are absolutely amazing. The effects are brilliant. Um, that sort of story of this vampire story evolves into the film, later into the film, and it's sort of like, wow, okay, this is cool. Where's this come from? And I love that. It's fantastic. The reason it's dropped a point was the one negative thing for me: the length. 2 hours 20 is a bit excessive, but to be honest, I quite liked it. I'm glad that they've done a film, because this could have been spread out onto a TV series, like Netflix series. It would work, and it wouldn't, because I think this. I think there's always a thing saying there's too much of a good thing, and I think something like that is too much. Like a lot of these programs and films that get made into TV series, I think you've got too much of a good thing, and they're not as good quality as the original basis. So this has got the original basis of it, of which would be work out as a TV series, if you like, but as a film, it works out even better, and you got it all condensed into there, which makes it a much more enjoyable experience. So I'm glad it's not as a series, but it is a long film to sit through. And like I said, we don't get to the horror aspect, I would say, until about an hour 10 into the film. It is the first hour is sort of like a character building, getting to know the twins, Smoke and Stack and Sammy, and their sort of like entwined kind of relationships. Obviously, Stack's relationship with Ruthie, who's like a who's a white girl, so there's a racial difference going on there. She's not liked by the other brother and all this sort of thing, and not welcomed, but he loves her. And then we got this Beatrice, who's like this she's like an old sort of voodoo witch, and she's and her sort of story evolves around how she's sort of protecting him with this sort of necklace thing that he wears, and there's this little stories going on, and Sammy falls for a married female, and that sort of story comes along too. I can't remember her name within the film, but she's plays Sammy's love interest, and these sort of stories all evolve, and we get some sort of sexual content from those three storylines in there, mainly on the same night. But we also get some sort of humour in there, provided by Delta Slim and Cornbread. That they're sort of like the humour in the film, and it's just a wonderful sort of story. You got all these little storylines, like if you was watching that TV series with that Cillian Murphy. I can't remember what it's called, but my son likes it. It was based in England, sort of gangster comedy, sort of love stories going on. There's these sort of love stories going on within this. So you get like an hour or so of this build up, just to get you through the character build up to sort of like them, and sort of like thinking, oh, you don't want nothing bad to happen to them. And all these people, there's about 100 odd people in this club, in this barn, dancing, and then it all kicks off to like as like I said, to a dusk till dawn sort of moment. And it's a really, really cool film, really good. They do keep some of the proper vampire traits in there, like you have to be invited in to a building to be able to go in, and all this, and our sort of voodoo queen sort of realizes it about this three and doesn't want them to be invited into the club. And so you get all these little elements that are going in, which is really makes the film quite tense and cool. And it's great. Amazing film. Sinners, 9 out of 10. Any of you guys seen it? If you have, let me know down below what you think of it. It's a fantastic 2025 horror film. So all these channels that say that great horror films are not being made anymore, they're all talking out of their arse, because there's loads of great horror films still being made, and we will be looking at another one soon. Nicolas Cage's The Surfer, and there's some great ones coming out that I want to see that I've not seen yet. I'll probably have to wait for releases, 28 years later, and all these great films that I need to get around to watching. So I think it's going to be another, although we're quite far into the year, it's been quite a weak year so far on the horror front. We've had some good ones, I enjoyed the Peter Pan film, and there was a couple of other good films that I've enjoyed so far this year. Nosferatu, although people will class that as 2024, I class it as 2025, because here in the UK it got released in the cinema here in 2025 after New Year Day. So it's to me here in the UK, it's a 2025 film. So we've had a couple of really strong contenders to film of the year. So we'll have to wait to December when I do my top 10 horror films of 2025 to see what tops that out. But until then, or any other videos, check out other horror channels. Check out Horror Hands, Horror Geek, Man v Film, RS Design, Pizwell, I am Icelor, Cat Watches Horror Movies, Grumpy Andrew's Haunted House, Skincrawler, The Maniac, and a massive shout out to the lad. Till next time, look after yourselves, look after one another, and I really hope I see you all soon.